everyone and welcome back to my channel. Here's Felix. She was in the room anyway, so I thought she could be in the intro of this video. So today's video I want to talk to you about my first ever foster and how that went. It was only for a week or a little less than a week, and it was quite an experience, so I just want to share that with you. So I fostered a conure, a Mitrid conure I think, or I'll put the species name here. And it was a lot. You see, Tango and Foxy, my two Senegal parrots, are very quiet. They, like, when you think of a bird like a parrot, they're on the very low end of noise. Yes, they do scream. They have their days where they're just like screaming their heads off, but what I've realized is that that is nothing in comparison to what other birds are like. Tango and Foxy have, you know, I feel like they haven't given me any sort of knowledge and insight into what like parrot owner, well, parrot, I don't want to say parrot keeping because that's the wrong kind of idea, but like I may have had, you know, Tango for like these past 7, almost 8 years, so I can say, oh, I've got like 7 years of experience, but really I don't, because clearly I just have two really easy birds and therefore like I know nothing. So I fostered this conure for Cheeky Beak's Parrot Rescue, which is the rescue I am a director of. That was just in my last video where I spoke about that and announced that to you guys for the first time. So the story with this conure is that he used to be a breeding bird, and he just lived outside, never got any attention, just as a breeder bird. He was, I think, 3 years old. Well, the first time I asked, I was told under 10, and then when I went to go fetch him, he said around 3 years old. So I think maybe that's that. But I feel like if he was a breeder bird, then maybe he should have been older than 3. So the reason this bird came into our rescue, like I said, he was a previous breeding bird, and also just from the photos that the breeder had like sent, it kind of showed that he wasn't in, you know, like a great environment, and also just like, yeah, like what you can expect from a breeder. It's just the birds in the cage, like they never get any toys, they get barely any perches or anything, and you know, I understand that like breeding is different to like keeping an animal as a pet, but I personally have this kind of weird thing with that. It's kind of like, yes, this animal has a purpose of breeding, but like why can't they also enjoy life as well, you know, and have some toys and enrichment and that. And yeah, I feel like people will probably say it's so that that doesn't distract the bird from breeding, but it's still kind of like really like not even just a couple small ones. I don't know. This bird was also very wild, like not tame at all, and that just made the situation like worse when he came to my house. Felix is scratching at the door, hold on. So when I went to go pick him up, the breeder, you know, who was, you know, didn't want this bird anymore, he was kind of like, oh, you sure you want this bird? He's not tame at all, he's wild. And I was like, no, it's okay, I can deal with it, which now we know I could not deal with it. So it should have been like a 5-minute pickup when I went to go fetch the bird from the breeder who no longer wanted it. It should have been a 5-minute thing, really, like a thank you for looking after the bird this long. Goodbye, thank you. This breeder spoke, like he just spoke so much. Like he first showed off his like incubation room with like all these incubators, and then he showed us these like fancy things that he got on special, and I was like, I don't know why you're telling me this, like I don't know, but he just kept talking about it. And then he was talking about other things. He really spoke a lot. But anyway, so that took an hour, and then, you know, got the bird in the cage. That was a mission because, you know, this bird is not tame, so you kind of had to take a towel to pick up the bird out of its cage and then put it into my travel carrier. Also, when I was there at the breeder's house, I noticed that their diet was like, well, from what it looked like, it was like 50% seed, 50% sprouts, which, you know, is not ideal. There shouldn't be so much sunflower seed in a bird's diet. And sprouts are very healthy, but I wouldn't say it should be the other 50%. You got that, like, you need vegetables, large variety of vegetables, and you need a large variety of fruit as well. So, you know, even though you can say, oh, sprouts are really healthy, and they are, it can't just be like a whole 50% of the bird's diet every single day. So now I brought this conure home. It didn't have a name, and I didn't want to name it because I feel like if I named him, then I'd get really attached, and also I'd just rather leave it for the future adopter to name him. The first day, or let's say the first day, which is the next day after I picked him up, and you know, for those first few days he was extremely loud, like so loud. It sent me into kind of like a panic mode. And there was one night where I was just laying in my bed and I was like having a little cry because I was like, I can't deal with how loud this bird is. And this poor bird was in such like trauma from leaving everything it knows to come here to be in a smaller cage than what he was in. And like, I know I wouldn't have put him in that smaller cage. I'll show pictures and videos of him. Like, that was just meant to be a temporary thing, but I know for him it's a big jump from like a bigger cage to a smaller cage. So I'm sure that stressed him out as well, and you know, new people and suddenly being around people a lot, because like I said, he was, you know, just a breeder bird in the back of the cage, you know, not paid attention to. So he was extremely stressed out, and you know, that stressed me out a lot, and I was just not doing well. And I had said, like before I got him, I said, no, it's okay, I'm gonna kind of tame him down a bit. I can maybe teach him to step up, I can get him onto a healthier diet, it's gonna be all good. Hello, Biscuit. And it did not go that way. No. He was just so terrified and scared. Like the few days that I had him, I almost did absolutely nothing because I did not want to stress the poor bird out even more. I took it so extremely slowly. So I did try and give him a variety of vegetables and tried putting some pellets in there. But he was so picky. He was kind of just didn't even like taste the pellets. He just like threw it out, kind of looked at the vegetables and shoved them around. He would eat apple, he would eat grapes, but I wouldn't see him eat much else. He ate a bit of sprouts, and I obviously gave him some sunflower seeds because you can't just completely switch an animal's diet like in one go. It does need to be gradual so that it doesn't upset their stomach and so that they can learn to transition, you know, in a slow, healthy way. So he did eat the sunflower seeds, and kind of after he was done with that portion, he was kind of like, well, what is all this other rubbish, because I don't want to eat it. So that was something that I was really struggling to get him to change onto a sort of healthier diet. The noise is the biggest thing. So then I told my team, I'm like, you know, I really wanted to foster him, but I just can't. I just can't. He's not doing well here. So we put up an ad for, you know, looking for someone else to foster him. And someone, you know, sent us a message saying, you know, someone had told them that we were looking for a foster and that they would love to do it. So I did a home check and I met such a lovely lady. She has 2 Senegals of her own and a Galah and an African Grey, and they're all really well taken care of, all on such a good diet. And yeah, so I approved her as a foster, and then she came and fetched the conure the next day. And that night she was like sending me photos of him in his new cage, and he was just like exploring around, even like kind of interacting with the toys, which is something he didn't do at my house. So I think he was just so much more comfortable in a bigger cage, which, you know, is completely understandable. And he was also like trying new foods at her house. So I was like, what? You know, clearly he wasn't doing well at my house, and that's okay. And I was just so happy that he was now in a new place where he just felt so much better. The very next day, like, just the progress that I was hearing just almost immediately was amazing. And actually, even when she fetched him, I like put my hand in the cage to try and, you know, take him out of my cage and put it into her travel cage so she could take him home. He actually let me get very close to picking him up. There was a point where I like had my hand in front of him to get him to step up onto my hand, but he's obviously never learned how to step up and never been trained that, so he didn't know what I was doing. But we came very close, so I was like, this bird clearly has potential, you know, to become calm and trusting of humans. Which, you know, the breeder, the way he was carrying on, he was like, no, this bird is so completely wild, and are you sure you want it? Are you sure? Do you have like an aviary you can just put him in? So yeah, it's going so much better. And now she even had sent me photos of her holding him. He was wrapped in a towel, but it's at a point where he will allow that to happen and won't like freak out. By the way, she named him Reuben, or Ruby for short. She also she said she was going to harness train him, which is just going to be so amazing. And you know, this might have been a foster fail for me, and not in the normal way you can think of a foster fail, but I feel like it taught me a lot. It's like I may have all these years of experience owning a bird, but like really I don't know that much, you know, and I can't handle that much. I don't know if you can hear my bird screaming in the background now, but it's like nothing. It's like nothing. This poor Konya was screaming his head off. He was so terrified here. And I'm so much happier, you know, of where he is now and how that's all going. I'll definitely foster in the future. You know, if we ever have a bird in my city and it needs a temporary home, like I can foster him before he goes out, you know, to a forever home, I will do that. And if the bird is really loud or I'm just having trouble with him, the person who adopted Reuben said she'll help foster out as well, so that's great. I'm glad that I can have someone supporting me and someone that I have met and that I trust and that I know that their setup is really good and everything, and is clearly doing a great job considering how much progress she and Reuben have had together. And in ending off this video, if you would like to adopt a parrot, or even if you just want to be like a volunteer and help us if we ever need like home checks done or just distribute flyers to places,